nothing is guaranteed in life, and you have to make the most of today and focus on what you can do to make a difference. I could easily sit here and, give up and say, I can't handle another year of something major happening within my life or the business, but you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep fighting and live for the day that you're in the moment that you're in. Obviously plan for the future. I'm an insurance agent,
Right.
I'd do a disservice if I didn't say that, but don't forget what's important and remember why you're doing what you're doing. I think that's the most important thing, because it gives you the purpose to continue to keep moving forward every single day.
This is Small Business Celebration, where we introduce you to successful small business owners at their place of business so that you can learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business and get your next big breakthrough. Jake, I've got this really challenging insurance problem that I've got. I'm trying to figure out how to get coverage on my car, and it's really turning into a problem.
It's a cardboard cutout, Michael.
Oh, but it's Jake from State Farm. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Small Business Celebration. This week we're going to be talking about, okay, you're a franchisee, but the franchisor gives you 24 hours notice before they totally change your world. We're also going to be talking about, okay, you've gone virtual. How do you not lose that personal touch? And the guide us this week is Isaias Ruiz, the owner of Isaias Ruiz Insurance Agency. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate it.
And for Visioneers who don't know who are you and what is it that you do?
My name is Isaias with Isaias Ruiz Insurance Agency. I am a local State Farm agent here in Bakersfield, and I help customers protect their assets from everyday risks and help build a brighter future.
Visioneers, we are in season 8 of Small Business Celebration, and our guest this week, he's been in business for 7 years, and we first met at a Hispanic Chamber Mixer, I think it was?
It was the first business expo that I set up as a business owner.
And he said, can I be on? I said, well, you got to be in business for at least 5 years in order to qualify to be on the episode. And you went, what? So here we are, 5 years plus 1 later. Michael.
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to want to appear on a show like this and help expand your business?
I think just to really share with everybody else that, sometimes as a business owner, you can feel like you're on an island, right? And you're struggling. You got challenges that you face day to day, year to year. And I think just being able to share that, you're not alone and you lean on each other as business owners and a community. And I think this is what makes this show so great. And I love seeing the growth that you've had.
Well, thank you.
I was just telling your producer here about our first experience meeting each other. And I said, man, that guy Michael's really unusually nice. People are just not that nice.
We're not going to tell people otherwise.
And seeing the growth of your show, it just shows the power of community that we have here in Bakersfield, and I think that's important.
And you relate to this because that's why you got into insurance in the first place.
Yeah. So my opportunity with insurance started with a LinkedIn message.
Really?
Yes. Before I worked in insurance, I actually worked for a company called ADP, the payroll company, an HR company. I did small business consulting with them, so payroll sales, HR sales. Anything from 1 employee startup to hundreds of employees. I had a State Farm recruiter reach out on LinkedIn and asked if I was interested in opening my own business with State Farm, my own franchise with State Farm. One of my customers was a State Farm agent when I worked at ADP, so the first thing I did was call them up and said, hey, can I take you out to lunch? And there used to be a little corner bakery right here on the corner. And we went out to lunch and he told me the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I was sold. 2 years later, little did we know that I was going to end up taking over his existing agency because he actually went and worked for the corporate side of the company now.
What possessed you to come to the dark side?
I had working with ADP and meeting so many different business owners from a vast variety of backgrounds. I was like, okay, I could do this. I know I could do this. If a lot of the people I'm talking to can do this, and I'm asking them questions, and I'm genuinely a curious person. So when I have a conversation with somebody, I'm asking a million questions. And I would do that when I would meet with customers, and I would just ask them how they got started, what do they like about it, those type of questions. And I knew I always wanted to do something. My mom had a business, when I was growing up.
Oh, what'd she do?
She actually worked for Kirby vacuum systems.
Okay.
Yeah, so she did that. She had her own business with that. I worked in the summers doing that.
Knock, knock.
Yep,
Would you like to buy a Kirby?
Knocking on doors, 14 years old, in the heat of Bakersfield in the summer. So you can imagine how fun that was.
But there's a difference, though, between selling a thing like a vacuum cleaner. It's a tangible object. You plug it in here, it turns on, it sucks the dirt up. Would you like to buy 3 of them?
32-foot extension cord. Yeah, I still remember it. Yeah.
Still remember the spiel.
Yeah.
But selling insurance, here's a stack of paper, sign here. I mean, it's not a thing.
The important thing is understanding what it does, explaining to customers and teaching customers the importance of this promise that
because that's what you're selling, the promise.
It's a promise, right? It's a promise to be there during some of the most challenging time, right? It could be something as small as somebody's first fender bender, right? In an auto accident, or I just had recently in my family actually a death claim, right? And we're
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. And we're delivering a life insurance claim, right? And what we're promising is when you go through that challenging time, we're here to help you. We're here to take away the financial burden of that challenging time.
How do you personalize that to somebody?
I think the important thing is getting to know your customer. You have to understand what is important to them. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in, and that not only myself, but everyone on my team, when we have a customer walk in, give us a call, we don't want to rush the transaction. We're not trying to get to, the price. We're not insurance quoters, right? We're going to ask you questions, and some of those questions are a little unorthodox. They're not what you hear when you call some of the other insurance providers.
One of the things I noticed while we were setting up for this conversation is that you had an existing customer come in.
Yeah, our goal is when we meet with customers, we want a long-term relationship with them, right? We don't want to just date them, right? We want to marry them,
right?
Essentially, right? I was just catching up with him. I know last time he came in, he had mentioned that his mom just passed away. So I just want to see how he was for the holidays, and did he go back home to spend some time with family, or was he here? That's the customer service piece of it, right? And making sure that we have those relationships with our customer. I just wanted to make sure that I was present in that conversation.
And if you've just had one of those life-changing moments that Isaias has just referred to, perhaps it's time to buy a new house. And to do that, I suggest you reach out to Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier Agent with Watson Real Estate. Born and raised and never left Bakersfield, give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at mikesaba1@icloud.com today. And Visioneers, if you've got a question, you've got a thought, something you'd like to learn about here on Small Business Celebration, reach out to us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and your question could appear just like Stephanie, who asks, we own a franchise, and the franchisor made a press announcement without notifying us first. How have you structured your business to stay prepared for surprises like this? Because this happened to you guys. You guys got, 24-hour notice, and State Farm franchisor said, by the way, we're no longer writing insurance in California. He's in California. How did you handle that?
Well, let me tell you, Michael, at first there was a little bit of panic, right?
Sure.
It's like, all right.
Everything you've built for, sorry, can't do it.
Changes, right? It changed overnight. They let us know. They put it on our account, sent an email out letting us know, hey, we have a meeting coming up. It's important that all the agents are on in California, and we jumped on the call and they said we have an announcement that we're going to make public. Now they gave us a month. I believe it was about a month before they stopped actually taking new applications. I think what is important to remember if you're in those situations where you have a franchisor, you can only control what you can control. If you sit there and complain and say, well, now it's over, what am I going to do now? When you start making excuses for yourself, you stop looking for solutions. And I think that the important thing is, when we got that news, I sat down with my team. Okay, what are we going to do? Let's revamp. What still worked on the ship, right? Is what we decided to focus on, and it forced us to get more education on certain products that maybe we weren't really spending too much time on. So for example, we have certain products that can help with taking care of income if you were to get sick or injured, right? We have policies that can help if you're in the hospital, that can help pay out some of those expenses to you, not to your hospital or to the insurance company. And those are products that we dove in and did more training and worked on how we can make sure that it's a right fit for a customer. How do we ask the right questions to make sure that we make those recommendations or find out if it's important? And it forced us to do that, right? Because, we had to keep going. I couldn't just pack it up and find something else, right? I dove all in.
But the key is you started with taking care of your existing clientele. But here's the ingenious part, and the entire reason for this conversation today. You left the state.
I did. When I first opened the business, I was just happy I have my own business, right?
Right.
I had to create a domain name for my website, and I used insuringkerncounty.com, right?
I didn't see where this was going.
I never even thought that I would expand any further. I was just happy to be in Bakersfield in Kern County and helping my community. Little did I know that, 3-4 years later, after setting up that domain name, that I'd be expanding into Arizona, Oregon, and Nevada. So again, that was one of those things that happened where I sat down, I took a look, okay, after a few years, I thought about expanding into those states, but I never really moved on it until I was forced to.
Right.
Until I was forced to. And then once I started looking into it, I realized how easy it was to get licensed in those other states. Since we already met all the requirements in California, and California requirements are,
pretty stiff.
Pretty stiff, right? They automatically extended to those other states, so we just had to submit the applications and get that process.
Why Oregon, Nevada, and Arizona? Because you could have gone to Arkansas, Montana, Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of other places you could have gone.
Yeah, they're all adjacent states, right? So they're all within...
Oregon, Arizona, and Nevada.
Exactly, adjacent to California,
Correct.
Right? Just made sense, and it allowed us to grow into those markets.
And how is writing policies different in those states than California?
Every state has their own coverage items that are different state minimums, right? And you have to, again, learn, do the education, make sure that we're training on that. And I got my whole team licensed because my goal was, okay, if we're going to do this, again, we're going all in, right? So we're going to make sure everyone is fully licensed in those states, so that way we can not only grow in those states, but maintain those relationships as we grow, right? And we invest into marketing and going out in those states. So everyone was trained.
And when you say everyone, how many of them are
I have
there?
5 team members right now, 5 fully licensed team members in my office, and I've departmentalized it, which
we'll talk more about later.
Yeah.
The last part of this, did the franchisor help you in this expansion?
So they allowed us to expand into other states, but it was really all on me.
But you hired a consultant.
Outside of the company.
Right.
Yeah. He was someone that had already mentioned when I started with them, a year before the announcement was made, get licensed in those other states, grow your business, right? And I think what happened more than anything, he helped me think bigger. And even now, I can't believe I limited myself to when I opened.
Kern County Insurance.
Yeah, right. So he helped me think bigger. I didn't make moves on it until I was forced to, and then once I did that, I had to do the research and everything on my own. It was an investment, time and financially, to get myself and my agency licensed in those other states. But that was about 1.5 years ago when we did that, and it's been worth it.
And that brings us to the Visioneer Game. And the Visioneer Game is brought to you by Minimum Press of Bakersfield. Big news! Quick Signs is now part of Minimum Press of Bakersfield. That means you can still get the same trusted quality in signs, fleet graphics, and banners for your business, fleet, job sites, or storefront. Now with the convenience of a single point of contact for all your visibility needs. With one call, one timeline, and one standard, Minimum Press of Bakersfield has you covered from the unknown to top of mind. Call Minimum Press of Bakersfield at 661-323-7757 or visit them at mmpbakersfield.com today. And Visioneers, if you're not familiar with the way the Visioneer Game works, I have a random word generator here on my phone. I have no idea what the random generated word is going to be, but more importantly, neither does our guest. And our guest has to take each of 3 words that I give him and somehow associate each word with his business. Isaias, you do realize that the fate of the entire insurance industry is on your shoulders. You get one of these 3 words wrong, and there will be no insurance for anybody, which means if anybody has a crippling disability, suddenly their car gets into a wreck, they'll all be on their own without any help from you people. Are you ready?
I'm ready. No pressure at all.
No pressure at all. Okay, your first word is bring.
If you're going to review your policies, bring any policies that you have with anyone else to our office or when we meet with you virtually to make sure we review those for you as well.
Nice. That's 1 for 1. Well done, you. Okay, your second word is vessel.
If you have the boat is the first thing that comes to mind, a vessel.
Right.
You want to get insured, give us a call.
Sounds good. That's 2 for 2. It all comes down to this. You've gotten 2 right, but if you get this one wrong, it's all for naught.
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Determine.
You got to stay determined as a business owner. It is not easy. You got to wear a lot of hats, a lot of responsibility, but determination is what helps you get through.
Nice. That's 3 for 3. The insurance industry is safe at last.
You're welcome.
All because of you. Now that you've had this life-changing experience here on Small Business Celebration and saved the universe as we know it, who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank Jay Tamsey from the Kern County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. That's where
And he's the executive director.
He's executive director as well. Yeah, you and I met at my first business expo that I did in 2019, and
right.
I think we've been at every single one since. Right, so yeah, shout out to Jay.
How did you meet Jay?
I just started attending the mixers when I worked for ADP, and just kind of built a relationship over the years. When I opened my business, I signed up to be a member with them, and now I'm actually a diplomat, so we meet once a month and help volunteering for the mixers and any type of events that they have.
And that brings us to our second Visioneer question, which is also brought to you by Mike Saba, a Zillow Premier agent with Watson Realty, selling Bakersfield homes since 1992. Give Mike Saba a call at 661-203-8406 or reach him at MikeSaba1 at iCloud.com today. Visioneer Gerardo asks, how do you build systems in a small office of 5 to 6 people that let you run the business virtually without losing a personal, customer-friendly touch?
I think the important thing to remember is creating systems doesn't really take away from the personal touch. If anything, it allows us to have a systematized process where the customer experiences great customer service every single time.
But it's one thing to talk in person like you and I. It's somebody else when they're in Oregon and you're in Bakersfield. And I don't know about you, but it's like more than a day's drive just to get there. You can't exactly pick up everything and just one afternoon say, I'm going to go to Oregon. How do you build that friendship and that relationship with somebody on the other side of the phone, on the other side of the Zoom call, meetings, whatever it is, and have them get that understanding and that belief that, yes, you're the agency for them?
Yeah, I think the important thing is to remember that it's a person on the other side of that call, right? And have that personal conversation, asking good questions to get to know them, having them follow us on social media. We try to keep things, fun and personal on our social media so they can get a feel for who we are as an organization and our values and our integrity and what we believe in. Because that's important. People want to do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust, right? So I think it's important that that piece is not missed. It is a person. It's a human on the other side of the call, the other side of the phone, the other side of that Zoom screen. They're dealing with the same issues you might be dealing with personally, right? So having that patience and getting to know them, I think is important.
There's a thing called carpetbagger syndrome. It's a very negative thing. And it's the idea that somebody from out of state has come into my area and is taking my business and they're telling me how to run my life. How do you overcome that mentality when you're reaching out to somebody in Arizona or Nevada or Oregon so that they don't get that feeling that's what you're delivering to them?
Yeah, well, the first thing is we got to make sure that they are aware that we're not some huge call center just calling a bunch of random people, right? We're a local office here in Bakersfield. We've just happened to expand into other states. COVID really changed a lot, right? It allowed us to do our virtual meetings and meet with customers face-to-face virtually, right? So we offer that to them right from the get-go, so that way they can put a face to the name. And we let them know, like, we're here to help, right? And we want to be a resource for you for any of your insurance and financial services needs. We want to make sure that we systematize their process of when they're onboarded. Here's how we interact with you. If you need anything as far as your billing and your claims questions go, or policy questions, we have our service department that can handle and answer those questions, and we try to introduce them, kind of like a warm transfer. We have our account managers that are bringing on new business and new customers, so if they have any referrals or anybody, they let them know that on the front end. And then also myself, if they need to speak with me, my team has full access to my calendar. They can get on my calendar and I can meet with them through a virtual meeting as well, because that shows them that we're here to support you as an office, not just some random person calling you from a call center.
It's 11:30 on a Friday night, and somebody in Arizona, one of your customers, gets into an accident with a car. What's the process like?
When they're onboarded, we give them instructions on what steps to take. We advise them on how to handle if that situation were to come up. If they call our office, even after hours, our phones get forwarded to our after hours department. So somebody live will take that call, get that claim started and initialized for them. They'll notify us, the claims department will notify us that a claim's been open, and I have an account manager who monitors that daily to make sure that we reach out proactively to that customer to see if there's anything else that they need from us and how they're doing, and make sure that, to let them know that we're there to support.
Tell me your favorite horror story.
I'm 2 years into my business. You know, I have the same team that I started with. I had 5 team members at the time. And going to the end of 2020, after we had already had to shift our whole
because of COVID.
Because of COVID, right?
Right.
So 2019.
Everything shut down. You couldn't talk to anybody.
Yep. So 2019, we have, a bunch of community events, getting involved with the chamber and doing everything. And then 2020 hits and our whole business plan is turned upside down, right? So we have a decent year, a great year for considering the situation,
Yay!
right? But at the end of 2020, I'm going into 2021, all right, cool, things are starting to kind of open back up a little bit. I have all these plans for my team and myself and our agency. And from December to March, I went from 5 team members down to 1.
Wow.
I had my brother. He was the only one that stuck it out with me. And we had a rebuild. We had a rebuilding year. And it was a lot of work, a lot of 10-hour, 12-hour days. And during that time, with all those working hours, my wife, who we weren't married at the time, she's my fiance, we sat me down.
She said,
"Yeah,
honey, we need to talk."
And she made sure that I didn't lose who I was. And she sat me down and reminded me of, hey, make sure you take care of yourself and be present when we're here. And now I've been able to rebuild, and things are much better now because I've been able to create systems that allow me to, when I get home, to turn off and not be focused on work. And I can focus and be present with my wife and my kids, and I can focus on the vacations. I don't have to worry about if I'm not available for my email or anything. I created systems that my team handles all that for me now to make sure that things get done even when I'm not there.
Your brother passed away in December. My condolences.
Thank you.
How did your brother's passing teach you how to inspire other business owners that it's going to be okay?
Nothing is guaranteed in life, and you have to make the most of today and focus on what you can do to make a difference. I could easily sit here and, give up and say, I can't handle another year of something major happening within my life or the business, but you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep fighting and live for the day that you're in and the moment that you're in. Obviously plan for the future. I'm an insurance agent,
right?
Do a disservice if I didn't say that, but don't forget what's important and remember why you're doing what you're doing. I think that's the most important thing, because it gives you the purpose to continue to keep moving forward every single day. It gives you the reason to wake up and go to work and do the things that you need to, but more importantly, make time for what's important and focus on that while you're doing it.
Isaias, this has been a real treat. Thank you for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
And if Visioneers want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They could call our office, 661-637-1060. They can swing by our office, 1400 Eastern Drive, Suite 127. We're right in front of the radio station. Or they can reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Isaias Ruiz Agent is my handle on Instagram, and then Isaias Ruiz State Farm for LinkedIn and Facebook. They can reach out directly there.
And I'll be right back with my final thought. Don't eat with people that you wouldn't starve with. Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with. The other day I had lunch with a friend of mine, and at first we talked about our successes and our wins, and then our conversation evolved into our failures and things that were leading us both into great trepidation. And then after a while, our conversation went into a very comfortable silence. Later, when I was driving home, I began to wonder, was that a good silence or was that a bad silence? And then, as if by divine providence, later that evening, as I was scrolling through social media, the following quote appeared before me by Lex Friedman. He said, "Don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with." As we go through our business lives, we have lunch with people that are for business reasons only. It's because we're there for a business relationship. There are others that we have meals with because they're informational. We want to learn something about that person or something that they know about. And of course, there's always the meals we have fun with because we're there simply for entertainment value only. The people we're eating with they're just a hoot. They're just a lot of fun. But every once in a while, you find your person, that one person who gets you. The kind of person that you know they have your back. And equally importantly, you'll have theirs, and you're comfortable and okay with that. And that's how this conversation was. We were there to enjoy each other's company, and it was fine that nothing was said because we had each other's back. The kind of friend that you can have dinner with, you can have lunch with, even if you're starving. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week here on Small Business Celebration, and I hope you learned something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. And we'll see you here again next week when we celebrate another small business making a big breakthrough.